Massive trees uprooted and brought down right onto homes and cars. You are looking at the damage in Monroe County live, where it's confirmed a tornado did hit yesterday. Kim?
And coming up in just a few minutes, I'll track that tornado, show you exactly how long it was on the ground and also how high the winds were. And then we'll talk about a little sunshine for the weekend.
I want to take you to a mobile museum making rounds in Michigan. You're going to see things that, honestly, you haven't seen in school before. Also, artifacts you've probably never seen in person before. And I'm going to show you why this is really touching people in a way that's surprising even them.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
First at 4, we are getting a clearer picture today of the damage done by a storm that blew through Monroe County last night. The Weather Service has confirmed it was an EF1 tornado. Sky 4 shows the tornado brought down massive trees right onto homes and cars. The National Weather Service is there today to get a better idea of just how powerful this tornado was. Sky 4 was also over Livingston County, another area hit hard. The Howell Nature Center says it has extensive damage from the hail and flooding from the rain. It is closed today as workers assess what's next. And we are getting to see the damage from your point of view. Renee sent this picture of a damaged tree in Berlin Township to our MyPics. And our Megan Woods has spent the day in Monroe County. She joins us now live from Frenchtown Township, where people are starting the cleanup process, and it's going to be a long one, Megan.
That's right, Christy. People have been spending hours cleaning up. Let me show you what this EF1 tornado has left the people here in Frenchtown Township to deal with. You see this massive tree is blocking the roadway, and then you see DTE has put up this yellow tape because there are live wires. And if you listen closely, you might be able to hear in the background generators running because the power is out. And so there's so much going on, so much that they're dealing with right now. It's unclear when that power will come back on, but the National Weather Service says that EF1 tornado brought a peak of 90-mile-per-hour winds. We spoke to several people out here who say the storm intensified in a matter of seconds and didn't last very long.
We had just got home yesterday. We sat at the dining room table having some dinner, and we noticed the wind was picking up, and then within 30 seconds, everything just went this way. And it was probably the first time in I don't know how many years we said, get in the basement.
So the good news is no one was hurt. But what's interesting about this community as we're talking to them, they're all just so very grateful, not just because of no one was hurt, but the fact that they're all coming together and cleaning up together. And so we talk a little bit more about that coming up tonight at 5 and how they're, cleaning up and making a difference with each other. It's really just a sweet story, and to see how they are, turning this around, this situation around when they could be very down right now. Back to you, Christy.
Yeah, it's a big community effort. Thanks so much, Megan. All right, let's get to forewarned meteorologist Kim Adams. She has more information on that tornado and, of course, a look ahead to the weekend.
Well, I want to clarify why the National Weather Service had to go out, because even when you see radar indications of a tornado and you see damage that looks like it's tornado damage, sometimes it can just be straight line wind. So that's why the National Weather Service goes out to actually confirm it. They're looking for specific things, signs of rotation and things like that. So here's what happened yesterday at 6:09. We started getting signs of that rotation on ExactTrack 4D radar and that there was a possible tornado. Then that tornado did develop just outside Detroit Beach. It touched the ground at 6:09, stayed on the ground for 9 minutes as it moved off towards Estral Beach, right along the shore, and then it lifted back up again. So it was on the ground for 9 minutes. It was an EF1 tornado, 90-mile-per-hour winds, again from 6:09 to 6:18, had a 4.7-mile wide path, 400 yards wide. So that's a very wide area of damage. Now, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about that hail and what the size was in different neighborhoods around Metro Detroit. And then we're going to shift focus to the weekend, which does include quite a bit of sunshine, but we're dry once again, which isn't necessarily good news for the drought.
All right, Kim, thanks. We'll see you in a few minutes. Well, right now, there is still a search for survivors in a tornado that hit the Texas Panhandle, and that storm hit around the same time as the one that hit here. A trailer park took a direct hit, and 3 people are confirmed dead. More than 50 others were hurt in the city of Perryton. Officials say search dogs spent the day looking for 2 people who were reported missing. And aerials show the widespread destruction. A storm chaser says this funnel cloud formed quickly, and there was very little warning.
Whenever I was flying around, it looked like people were just having to self-rescue themselves. People were climbing out of rubble. There was the fire nearby.
As many as 200 homes were destroyed in the tornado. The governor of Texas is directing the state's Division of Emergency Management to help out. Well, we are following breaking news for you from northern Michigan tonight, where police are investigating an active shooting in Manistee. 2 people are being treated for injuries, and there are 4 crime scenes. Police say there are no threats to the public right now. We are expected to learn more in the next hour, and of course, we'll bring you updates on the news at 5 o'clock tonight. University of Michigan police arrest a man suspected in multiple sex crimes across Ann Arbor. Police say a man exposed himself to 2 women and groped another on the North Campus late last month. A similar incident was reported to Ann Arbor police. Now, police initially said they believe that all these incidents were connected. Truck driver is found guilty in the deadliest attack on Jewish people in U.S. history. Robert Bowers was convicted today of barging into the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh back in 2018, then shooting and killing 11 people. Investigators say he expressed hatred of Jews. Jurors must now decide whether the 50-year-old should be sentenced to death or life in prison without parole. The penalty phase of the trial could last weeks. In Minneapolis, the police department is accused of racial discrimination and using excessive force. That's according to the U.S. Department of Justice. The investigation was launched in the wake of the murder of George Floyd back in 2020. The DOJ found a lack of accountability, training, and supervision in the police department. Now, as a result, the city and police department are agreeing to a federal consent decree. And that means an independent monitor will oversee reforms, and everything must be approved by a federal judge. Well, a new mobile museum is making its way across the area with a look at an important part of our history. Paula Tutman visited the latest stop of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum in Port Huron today and shows us why this exhibit is so impactful.
Part of what makes this mobile museum interesting is who's doing the curation. We're talking about a former public school teacher who understood social studies wasn't being taught. In a lot of ways, it needed to be taught. And so this is his personal collection. These are actual artifacts. And people who are coming to this are actually being touched in ways they're surprised. Whips, chains, posters, 150 plus artifacts that tell our history in a way many have never seen before.
If you look carefully at it, you'll see it's not only people being sold, but they're being sold with things like rice and pens and books and animals. So it wasn't, they didn't think these were human beings, but almost animals being sold.
It's called the Black History 101 Mobile Museum. It travels the nation. The curator, a former social studies teacher for public schools in Detroit.
I saw that there was some gaps in the history, and so I used primary source material to supplement what was missing in the classroom.
Today, in Port Huron.
This time of year, we celebrate Juneteenth, but even more importantly than that, being here at this time in American history.
While the history of our nation and the painful truth about slavery doesn't change, the way it's presented this year using hip-hop to tell the story.
The collection here celebrates hip-hop culture because hip-hop culture was inspired by the Civil Rights Movement. It was inspired by the Black Power movement. It was inspired by the Black Arts movement. And so you see a context that leads up to the beginnings of hip-hop culture in the exhibit.
And what visitors are seeing chills them to their core.
This is the beginning of this, which is so disturbing, with the Ku Klux Klan and the people being sold, the people hanging. When you move around, you see that there's freedom through music and things like that, but then you get to the end and we haven't, it's like, do we have to start all over again?
There are no flashing lights or moving parts, just the artifacts and the stories behind them that scream louder than any voice.
There's a lot of things that made a difference to me.
It talks a lot about things that they don't really teach you in schools, that you would, like, they don't teach us half of the stuff that you see in this exhibit. The propaganda of a black person being washed, and when they hopped out, they were white.
How often was I taught this at school? How often is any American child taught this at school?
Yeah, you know, I do want to say that some of the imagery, some of the artifacts, they're pretty raw, and so obviously we couldn't show them on camera. The way they're telling this story through hip hop makes it suitable for all different ages. Again, Dr. El Hakim, he's collected about 10,000 different artifacts. He puts different ones in different shows. It is a traveling show. And so tomorrow, for instance, the second annual Juneteenth community celebration in Canton, at Heritage Park Amphitheater from 1 to 6. Monday, June 26th, he's actually going to be in the city of Lansing City Hall, and he'll actually have a visiting guest, Muhammad Ali's former wife, Dr. Khalila Ali. So he's got different ways of telling these stories. We're going to put information on our website, clickondetroit.com, so you can either bring him in, organizations bring him in and they pay him and it makes it free to everyone else, or you can see where he's traveling to next. But again, just watching people's reaction was almost as amazing as seeing the artifacts.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks so much, Paula.